Hi, this is my last blog, and I'm going to wrap up what I did this two food waste audit in two different schools. First, we come to the Learning Gate Community School. I did the presentation and run the food waste audit. As you can see in the slogan, nature is our best teacher. So this is an environment school, and they are quite aware of these food waste issues. And first, we come to the presentation I gave. Those are goals and objectives I want to achieve by answering three questions. Why we waste so much food in US? How can we reduce those food waste? What can we do if we have food waste? The reason I chose this icon thereby today is because this is one of the reasons why we waste so much food in US. When I ask the question, will you buy the food that labeled by this? Students clearly split into two groups. One group says they will buy it, the other says they won't. Finally, they reach the agreement that they will buy the food labeled by this, but unless they consume it that day. At this point, I stand out and say, you reach this agreement based on the presumption that you think the food will expire that day, but actually, sell by and expire by are two different concepts. This is one of the reasons why we waste so much food. Most people confused by those conceptions and think that once the food labeled sell by, that means it will expire by today. Actually, they are two different things. The other main reasons include we are picky eaters, we didn't see any ugly carrots in the supermarkets, the portion the supermarkets or cafeteria or the dining serves are bigger and bigger. Food is an industry, so if it's not cost effective, they will dump food in the landfill. And also, I asked the students to understand the food recovery hierarchy provided by EPA. But meanwhile, I provided two sustainable repurposing solutions to deal with food waste. One is composting and the other is biodigester. They are quite familiar with the composting because they are in environment school and actually they have one big compost bin on their campus. But that's their first time to hear about the biodigester. The biodigester is a living machine that works like the gut in your body, and it can convert food waste to energy. We call it biogas. Most of them are methane and fertilizer. We can use those biogas to cook the food, and you can use those fertilizer to put into the hydroponic or aeroponic systems to grow more food by using less land. I also talk about the differences between composting and biodigester. Students were quite excited when they heard about this biodigester, and they know methane is very harmful for the environment, so they think this is a very cool way to deal with food waste. At this point, I need to stand out, ask students be cool, because the presentation is trying to reduce more food waste, to let the students know that the purpose is not to deal with those food waste problems so we have those solutions, but we need to reduce the food waste at first, and then comes to the food recovery hierarchy provided by EPA. We can see from the top to the bottom are the most preference to the least preference. So first, source reduction and reuse. Second, feed hungry people. Third, feed animal. Fourth, industrial use, such as biodigester, and then go to the composting. The least is going to the landfill. So during this presentation, students know that so we have those ways to deal with those food waste, but still we need to reduce the food waste at the first place. And then we come to the food waste audit day. As you can see the first picture, first step, we go to the interviewers to record why you don't need those food. And second, go to the food separator, and the students will separate food to 4 different categories: grains and breads, vegetables and fruits, meats with bones, and dairy product, but without liquid dairy, that means milk. To my surprise, they didn't get much food waste, and I think there might be 2 reasons for that. One reason is that the school cafeteria doesn't provide food for most of the students because most of the students carry their meal from home. So the parents know the exact portion that those students will consume for their lunch, and that's why they didn't have much food waste. Second reason is that even though that day school cafeteria provide pizza for students, but still the portion they served is not very large, and that might be another reason that they don't have that much food waste. But still, we have 52 unfinished items. As you can see, most of them are vegetables and fruits. We have apples, we have 8 oranges, cucumbers, carrots, plum, grapes. So based on those, I asked the students to review what the reasons they recorded, and here are the reasons. We can see disgusting, doesn't want, doesn't like, ranks the first 3 place. So based on these, I made the recommendation that a nutrition class need to be provided for the students to let them know what's the basic nutrients they need to take in one meal. What is a healthy diet for them? We can either use the pilograms, as you can see here. They show the different percentage of the food they need: grains, vegetables, protein, dairy. Or we can use this plate, put all different food inside: vegetables, fruits, grains, legumes, such as like that. So a nutrition class need to be provided for the students to let them know what they need to intake for each meal. Then we go to the Bartels K8 School. I did the presentation and run a 4-day food waste audit for the 2nd graders. It's a little bit tricky to talk to 2nd graders about all those objectives and goals. So I linked them to their daily life experience and asked them to understand the main problems in current US food systems. But still, other goals, I just put no. So they only need to know about that. They don't have to understand about that. And maybe this video can clearly explain another reason, as I mentioned it before, why we waste so many food waste. But apparently this video is more attractive for kids to learn.
I want you to ask yourself, what defines you? Is it your taste? Is it your texture? Is it what you're made of? Potassium, iron, calcium, vitamin A, B, C, even K. You have them all. You have everything that other fruits and vegetables have. You can be whatever you want to be. Juice, soup, stew, you name it. Who says you're not eligible for supermarkets? Who? You gotta start believing in yourself. Otherwise, nobody else will. When you'll be lined up in boxes at supermarkets, I want you to stand upright and feel proud of what you are. Because there's nothing wrong in being ugly.
After the video, I asked the students whether we need to judge a person by their appearance. They said no, so how can we judge food by their appearance and waste them? And this is a food waste audit, and with the help of Bartels College students, I got volunteers. They help those kids to finish those 4-day food waste audit. But look at these; those are peaches, and these are baby carrots. They are even in perfect shape. Why we need to waste so much food waste for that? So I also encourage kids to interview our tech college students to see what they think about this program. And let's enjoy this video.
So it's kind of sad because we just see all these options and we grab everything we want to eat, but a lot of times we can't eat as much as we think, but we keep doing it anyway. So instead of thinking about like, oh, I realize I can't eat this much, we just keep grabbing food. So, seeing this hopefully makes kids think, I can't eat all this food, and then when you're picking what you want to eat, you got to think more carefully, okay, what can I eat, what do I really want, what can I go without, because you can't eat everything every meal of the day.
Have you ever done that? Have you ever wasted food of yours?
I have wasted food. When I was a kid, I did the same thing. I would grab all this food and I wouldn't be able to finish it. Or I would eat too much and I would be really full. And neither of those are good for the environment or for me. So now that I'm older, I make sure I get smaller servings so I don't eat as much and I don't waste as much.
So do you want kids to realize that they're wasting food?
Yeah, I think that the younger you start, the easier it is because you build that habit of knowing how much food you need, how much food you have to get so that you don't waste any, and then the younger you are when you do it, the easier it is.
Thank you.
Here come to some results we did. So since they are second grade students, they still have difficulty in interviewing their friends. So I made this data collection and interview sheet so they don't have to ask questions. All the kids just need to make a tickle to record those reasons why they don't need those food. And still, as the last audit, they categorize food for vegetables, breads and grains, fresh fruit or dried fruit, meat with bones, and dairy product. And here are the results. So we got most of the food waste most is the grain and bread. And one of the reason we didn't have any dairy product here yet because we didn't get any data from that. But what's special about this audit and also about the LearningGate audit is that here we actually use biodigester to take care of those food waste, which is quite different from other food waste audit that EPA provided. And we want kids to learn that what we are saying something or we're doing something different. We are doing something actually as what we said. Please enjoy this video.
Bartels K8 School, also Bartels College student. So I'm running this food waste audit, and thanks to those cute students from GBK8, we got those food waste here, and we are gonna grind them and put them in the biodigester. But first, let me show them a little bit introduction about this biodigester. So see those two tanks, right? So we put those food waste through here. Did you see the dragon? The throat, we put the food waste inside that throat, and then all food waste go to here. And remember the video I showed you the anaerobic digester, right? So all the gas they get, it came from there. And then through this pipe into here, they collect the gas. You see those gas bags? that's why we convert the food waste to the energy and use energy to cook the food. Then we still have food waste, right? We begin that process again. We use food waste to feed in and use that to cook this food. Okay? Got it?
Yeah.
Here's Jihao, Sarah, and Chris. We're all from Pata College. So Pata College students every Saturday go to here to do the volunteers. And Jihao knows how to grind those food waste. So, let's go. There's a garbage disposal there. And we will grind them.
Wow, you're feeding the dragon. Ow, you want to see? One, two, three. Oh no, where's the other bucket?
No, it's okay, it's okay.
Oh, okay.
We'll feed later.
All right.
And here comes to the recommendations. So first, dining atmosphere. As you can see in the video I showed you, the school cafeteria is so chaotic and noisy, and it's not good for children to keep concentrate and keep focus on their food. According to my observation, kids, once they start to talk or play, those are second grade students, they will just leave the food away. And if once they leave those food away, they will not touch it again. So that caused many food waste. And that's why I suggest that maybe we can ask kids to eat their lunch in the classroom, because classroom is small, quiet, and kids are quite familiar with it. And one thing is quite important is that we are not encouraging talking during their eating their meal. Second, more liquid. So one of the reasons they dump so many grains in the bread is because they think it's too dry. And the lunch provide one small carton box of milk. So we as kids cannot consume that amount of grains or bread by using this limited liquid, milk. So I'm not suggesting that we provide more milk, but I'm suggesting we provide some soup, because I didn't see any soup during the lunch. And soup is another way to cook vegetables, which comes to my third recommendation is more ways to cook vegetables or add more flavors for salad. All the food they provide are separately packaged. Dairy products are dairy products like the cheese bar, and vegetables are those salad bowls, fruit are those fruit bowls, and meat is the meat. So if we can have more ways to cook vegetables, maybe cook vegetables with meat, that will increase the flavor of these vegetables. And also, the reason why children dump all those salad bowls, they didn't even open it, is because they said the flavors are too plain. But I said you have this dipping sauce, right? They said they are either too sweety or too salty. So add more flavors for salad and more ways to cook vegetables are one of the recommendations I make that can prevent kids to waste much food waste, and they can consume those vegetables. The fourth recommendation is more diversity of food. According to the vegetables, I only see lettuce and cabbage, but we have more vegetables. We have beans, we have eggplants, we have green beans, we have onion, we have many different kind of vegetables, and even for the meat, we also have chicken, we have pork, we have beef, we have shrimp. So more diversity of food will raise kids' interest of consumption and consume those food. And the fifth recommendation is donation program. Sometimes lunch provide those snacks like potato chips, but sometimes kids just don't eat them and they throw them away. But according to the food recovery hierarchy, we can donate those food. So I'm suggesting a donation program needs to be implemented during the lunchtime so that kids can donate those food they didn't eat to food pantry. And the sixth, share food policy. I know the public schools can not allow to share food due to some codes and want to avoid those allergy problems. But still, sharing food can reduce many food waste. The last recommendation is appropriate time to begin lunch. According to my experience, the second grade students begins lunch at 12:15, and they have different classes, and all the second grade students will finish their lunch at 1:15. But still, their third grade or fourth grade students come to the cafeteria for their lunch. So that means many students will eat their lunch around 1:30 p.m., which is not quite appropriate lunch time for the kids. And according to the staff working in the cafeteria, they said the lunch begins at 11 a.m. and ends in 2 p.m. So that means the lunchtime is so long. That's why we can also come to my first recommendation. If we can provide lunch simultaneously in classrooms, which will help kids to eat lunch in a more appropriate time when their stomach is working. So once your stomach is not working, you are refused to eat, and they will cause much food waste. Those are the recommendations I made for both audits. So appropriate age group for food waste audit. So the food waste audit is appropriate for the middle school students, but I didn't say that elementary school students are not allowed to do the audit. They can handle the food sort station with the help of middle school students. But during the interview section, it is better for middle school students to handle that part. Second, a training program needs to be provided before food waste audit for all the students who will be involved in. So this training program is train students to ask the reason why they don't want those food more accurate, so that we can collect more accurate data and according to them to make the recommendations. The reasons like doesn't like it is not so specific. That's we need to more specific reasons so that we can know the actual reason why they don't like those food. Third, perfect length of a food waste audit. So the perfect length of food waste audit is 2 times 1 semester, each time for 1 day. 4 days is so long. And the reason I want 2 food waste audits is that we can do the comparison between we make the recommendation and after we make the recommendation. And the fourth is more volunteers to give lectures for schools, either for the nutrition class or how to grow food or how to keep your body healthy or about food waste lectures are all good for schools, and schools are so into those sustainability topics. I welcome students to go there, college students to go there to give lectures for those kids. These are the wrap up for my food waste presentation and food waste audit day. Thank you.